It happened at 2:14 a.m. I was asleep, deep enough that the house felt like it was floating, silent and untouched. Then suddenly, a sharp vibration tore through the quiet darkness. For a second, I thought it was part of a dream. I've had plenty of those lately, the kind where Michael stands in the kitchen, humming softly while he makes his morning coffee. But the vibration came again, and this time, the glow from my nightstand, and hit my eyes. Before I go on, sweetheart, please make sure to like this story, subscribe, and ring that little bell so you don't miss my next tale. And tell me in the comments, where are you listening from today? My phone was ringing. I reached for it with sleepy hands, squinting at the screen, and then everything inside me froze, because the name flashing across the display was Michael. My breath felt trapped in my chest. My fingers turned cold. The room suddenly felt too still, too real, too impossible. Michael, my husband, my partner, my first and only love, had been dead for 27 years, and the phone he always carried, the one he kept clipped to his belt like it was part of him. I buried that phone with him. I remember placing it in the casket myself, that old flip phone with the tiny screen he could barely read, but insisted on using anyway. It was a piece of him, a little memory he always carried. I couldn't let it stay behind, but now, somehow, his name was calling me. The ringing stopped. I didn't answer. I couldn't. My hands were shaking too badly. I sat up in bed, staring at the dark hallway outside my door, waiting for the world to make sense again. Then the phone rang a second time. The same name, the same number, the same photograph, a grainy picture I took of him in 1995, wearing that ridiculous fishing hat he loved more than anything. My heart felt like it was pounding inside my ears. This time, the phone rang only once, just a single, short ring, as if someone on the other end changed their mind or wanted me to know they were there. That one ring was far more terrifying than the first call. It felt deliberate. When the screen went black again, I finally found the courage to open the call log. There it was, plain as daylight. 2:14 a.m. incoming call, Michael. No scam alert, no spoofed caller ID warning, no unknown number, just his name, as if he had never died. I sat on the edge of the bed for almost an hour, my pulse hammering against my ribs. I kept whispering to myself, this isn't real. This can't be real. But the call log didn't disappear. It stayed there, taunting me. Growing older is lonely in a special way. Your world grows smaller, your children move on, your friends move away or drift into their own families, and your home becomes a collection of memories you keep dusting off again and again. But grief never fully leaves. It waits quietly, tucked beneath moments you think you've healed from, ready to rise at the smallest touch. And one impossible phone call was enough to pull every old wound open again. The next morning, sunlight felt intrusive. It poured through the curtains like nothing unusual had happened. I made myself tea, though my hands trembled so badly I nearly spilled it. I kept glancing at my phone, terrified it would ring again. What if it did? What if it wasn't a glitch? What if someone connected to Michael in some way I didn't understand was trying to reach me? I told myself not to jump to conclusions. I'm an old woman, not a detective. My imagination shouldn't be running wild, but deep inside, something whispered, this wasn't an accident. By noon, I finally forced myself to call the phone company. If anyone could explain this rationally, it had to be them. A young woman answered the line. Her voice was cheerful, the kind people have before life weighs them down. She asked for the number that had called me. When I read it to her, she fell silent for several long seconds. Then she typed and typed and typed. Finally she said, slowly, ma'am, this number hasn't been active for over 25 years. My chest tightened. I know that. I whispered. My husband passed away 27 years ago. His phone was buried with him. The woman hesitated. Even if someone spoofed it, our system would show it, but your log shows it as a clean, original incoming line. Original? I asked, yes, as if the number was still active in our network. I felt the room tilt a little. That's impossible. That's exactly why I'm confused, ma'am, she said softly. There's no record of this number anywhere, not even in archives. It shouldn't be able to connect to anything. I didn't want to hear more. I thanked her and hung up before she could say anything else. My legs felt weak, so I walked slowly into the dining room. The house was quiet in a way that made me feel watched. And then I smelled it. A faint trace of Michael's old cologne, Old Spice, warm, familiar, comforting, a scent I hadn't smelled in decades. My throat tightened, my eyes blurred, and then I saw it. Lying on the dining table, right next to the vase of wilted daisies, was something that shouldn't have been there. One of Michael's old fishing lures, the red and silver one he always kept in his pocket, the one we buried with him. I hadn't seen that lure in 27 years, and now it was sitting on my table. I didn't sleep at all that night. I sat at my kitchen table with the old mug my husband, Daniel, bought me for our 25th anniversary, the faded one with little blue roses. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. My chest felt tight, as if grief I'd carefully folded away for nearly 3 decades had ripped itself open again. And worst of all, the phone lay on the table in front of me, quiet, still as if nothing had happened. But I knew what I heard, that voice, that impossible, familiar voice. I kept whispering to myself, I must be losing my mind, I must be. Because what else could explain a call from a man buried with his phone 27 years ago? The house felt colder than usual. The walls felt thinner, like the night itself was listening. At 6:42 a.m., I finally picked the phone back up. There it was, the call log. Incoming call Daniel, 1:14 a.m. 00, 38 seconds, 38 seconds. That was not my imagination. My finger hovered over the log. My mind wrestled with itself. Do I press it? Do I replay it? Do I want to hear that again? I didn't. I really didn't. But I also couldn't stop myself. I tapped it. Silence, just soft static, like wind brushing through a microphone, then a faint hum, and then a voice, deep, familiar, filled with that calm firmness only he had. Evelyn. I dropped the phone as if it had burned me. Even replaying the voicemail felt like calling the dead back from the grave. I pressed both hands against my face. Lord help me. What is happening? For a moment, my old house suddenly felt wrong. Like something else was standing inside it. I went to my front window, lifted the curtain, and looked outside. The street was empty. The same neighbor's pickup in the driveway. The same quiet morning. I'm just tired. I'm old. Grief plays tricks. Maybe it was some glitch, some hacked number, someone trying to scam me. But then, why would a scammer know my dead husband's voice? I didn't know what scared me more, the idea that someone was impersonating him, or the idea that no one was. I made myself tea, though my hands shook too much to drink it. I sat back down. I didn't want to tell my daughter, Claire. She'd say exactly what I feared. Mom, we need to get you evaluated. You're forgetting things. And maybe I was, but not this, not Daniel's voice. The morning crawled by. I cleaned the kitchen, folded laundry I'd folded already, wiped the same counters over and over anything to keep from looking at the phone again. At noon, the doorbell rang. I jumped. My heart thudded painfully against my ribs. My breath caught as I shuffled to the door. It was my neighbor, Martha, 82, still sharp as a carving knife. She held a basket of tomatoes from her garden. You didn't answer my call this morning, she said cheerfully. Thought I'd walk over. I blinked. You called me. Yes, dear, twice. No answer. Then your line went straight dead. My stomach dropped. My line. I glanced back toward the kitchen table where my phone lay. Oh yes, she continued, and something strange happened. When I called the second time, it didn't even ring. It just picked up and I heard, She frowned, static, like an old radio. Cold crept up my spine, slow and icy. "Martha," I whispered, "what time did you call?" "Oh, around 1 in the morning. I had trouble sleeping." She laughed softly. "You know how we old ladies are. 1 in the morning, the exact time Daniel's call came in." My breath trembled. "Martha, why did you call me at that hour?" Her expression softened. "Because you left me a message earlier that evening." My heart stopped. I didn't leave you a message." "Oh yes, you did, dear." You sounded upset, whispering something. I couldn't make out the words. Her brow wrinkled. "To be honest, it didn't even sound like you." A chill spread through me so fast it made my hands go numb. She patted my arm. "Anyway, I wanted to check on you." I forced a smile I didn't feel. "I'm fine, just tired." She left, and the second she did, I locked the door. Then I locked it again. My breathing became uneven. I felt lightheaded, because suddenly the truth pressed itself into me. I didn't call anyone last night. I didn't leave a message. I didn't even touch my phone after dinner. So who used my phone? And why did Daniel's number call me at the same moment? Someone was using mine. It didn't feel like coincidence. It felt like a pattern, a connection, something I didn't want to understand. I picked up the phone again, gripping it tight to stop my hands from shaking. Suddenly, a new notification appeared. New voicemail, unknown number. My mouth went dry. My stomach twisted painfully. I tapped it, more static, then faint breathing, slow, heavy, as if someone stood very, very close to the microphone. Then a whisper, a man's whisper, soft, urgent, terrifyingly familiar. "Evelyn, don't go to the grave." My whole body froze. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't swallow. I couldn't even blink, because Daniel died 27 years ago. But something was warning me now, something using his voice. And I had no idea if it was trying to protect me or lure me into something far, far worse. I don't remember sitting down. I don't remember breathing. I only remember the sound of that whisper echoing through my mind, rattling every corner of my chest. "Evelyn, don't go to the grave." It replayed on a loop, like a needle stuck on an old record. My legs felt weak, and I lowered myself into the armchair Daniel used to love, his favorite old leather one, cracked on the sides from all the years he spent reading in it. I stared at the phone in my hand, a small, harmless object, suddenly turned into something I didn't recognize. I pressed the screen again, voicemail details, timestamp, 12:59 a.m., just before Daniel's call. My heart trembled. Whoever, or whatever sent the voicemail, knew what would happen before it happened. I pressed my palm to my forehead, trying to breathe. My thoughts tangled and twisted around each other. Why tell me not to go to the grave? Who would even say that? And why with his voice? Memories of the cemetery pushed their way into my mind. Tall pine trees, the old iron gate, a silence so deep it pressed against your ears. I hadn't visited Daniel's grave in over a year. My knees made long walks painful, and grief made the rest unbearable. But now it felt like the grave was calling me, or warning me, or both. I closed my eyes and thought of Daniel, his gentle smile, his strong hands, the way he'd warm both my hands in his whenever I felt cold. He used to say, "If anything ever happens to me, Evie, you'll hear me, one way or another. I'll find a way to reach you." It was a sweet promise between young lovers, a silly, tender thing said on a starry night long before sickness took hold of him. I never imagined those words would come back to haunt me decades later. A sudden knock on the door snapped me out of my thoughts. 3 sharp knocks. My heart jumped so violently it hurt. I clutched the arms of the chair and waited. Another knock. Soft this time. Slow, please. "Not at this hour," I prayed. I forced myself to stand and shuffle to the door. I didn't open it, just placed my hand against the wood, trying to steady my breathing. "Who is it?" I called, my voice barely above a whisper. "Silence," I swallowed. "Hello?" Then footsteps, faint, walking away across my porch. I took a shaky breath and peered out through the window. No one, but something was there, an envelope, placed gently on my doorstep. My stomach twisted. My hands trembled so badly I had to use both to pick it up. It was plain white, no name, no return address, but there was weight inside. I shut and locked the door quickly, then checked the lock again, just like I did yesterday. I set the envelope on the table, staring at it like it might move. After several long moments, I opened it. Inside was a single photograph. My breath hitched so sharply my throat burned. It was Daniel, standing outside the old cemetery, the exact cemetery where he was buried. But the part that made my blood run cold, the photo was taken 5 days ago. He wore the same jacket he was buried in, the same tie, the same gray slacks. I pressed my fingers to my lips to stop a scream. No, this isn't real. The room spun around me. This isn't real. I flipped the photo over. Something was written on the back in a messy, shaky scrawl. "You shouldn't come here." My knees nearly gave out. Was someone playing a horrific joke? Was someone targeting me? But how would they know Daniel's burial clothes? His voice, the voicemail, the call. My thoughts raced, each more terrifying than the last. I reached for the phone, intending to call the police, only to see a new text message appear on the screen. Unknown number, no contact name, just one sentence. "You opened it." "I'm sorry." I froze, then another message. "He's not alone." My breath caught. A third, "Don't go to the grave." A cold sweat broke across my back. My fingers trembled over the screen. I typed slowly, my heart pounding so loud I could hear it in my ears. "Who is this?" 3 dots appeared. Typing, then they vanished. I waited. Seconds felt like minutes. Minutes felt like hours. Finally, another message came through. "Evelyn, please, don't answer unknown calls tonight." My throat tightened. "Tonight?" I whispered. "Why tonight?" But there was no reply. For the rest of the day, I walked from room to room, unable to sit still. I tripled, checked the locks. I shut every curtain. Even the house seemed uneasy, creaking in strange places, settling too loudly, whispering memories of a life I once lived. By evening, the sky had turned a deep purple, and the street outside grew quiet. Too quiet, I made myself a small dinner that I barely touched. My hands were shaky. My appetite was gone. At 9:14 p.m., a single notification vibrated through the room. A call, blocked number. My heart hammered painfully against my ribs. I watched the phone ring and ring until it stopped. I let out a breath of relief, but then it rang again. Same blocked number, and again, and again. My hands went cold. Suddenly the ringing stopped, and the screen flashed a name I had prayed I'd never see again. "Daniel incoming call." My breath turned to ice. The phone rang once, twice, 3 times, then silence, followed by a soft voicemail notification. My heart sank. I didn't even tap it. The message began to play by itself. Static so loud it felt alive. Then a voice, broken, shaky, desperate. "Evie, you have to listen. They're not letting me rest. Don't let them find you." Then the line cut. I dropped the phone. My legs finally gave out. I clutched the carpet, chest tight, tears filling my eyes, because if that voice wasn't Daniel, then something was pretending to be him. And if it was Daniel, then something was holding him. Either way, I knew one thing with absolute certainty. Tomorrow, I had to go to the grave, even if he begged me not to. I hardly slept, just drifted in and out of shallow, restless dreams. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Daniel standing outside the cemetery gate, the same place he was laid to rest 27 years ago. Same clothes, same face, but his eyes looked wrong in that photograph. Too wide, too dark, too alive. By morning, A fog had rolled across the neighborhood, thick gray mist swallowing the street, the mailbox, the trees. My whole world looked blurred, like reality was trying to hide something from me. I sat on the edge of my bed, holding the picture in my hands. Why would you warn me? I whispered into the stillness. Why now, Daniel? No answer came, only the soft hum of the refrigerator and the ticking of the old wall clock. I dressed slowly, warm cardigan, long skirt, the comfortable shoes my daughter hated but my knees appreciated. The whole time I tried to steady my heart. It didn't help. At 9:17 a.m., I put the photo in my purse, grabbed my keys, and stepped outside. The fog was so thick I couldn't see the end of my driveway. The air tasted metallic, like rain that hadn't fallen. I took a deep breath, locked the door, and got into my car. The drive to St. Pine Cemetery felt longer than usual. Every stop sign, every empty street, every quiet yard. I kept glancing in the rearview mirror, half expecting another car to appear behind me. But the road stayed empty, too empty. When I finally reached the cemetery gates, I hesitated. The iron archway loomed over me like a warning. Tall pine trees shivered in the wind. The fog made everything muted, like the world was holding its breath. I parked the car and sat there for several minutes, gripping the steering wheel. You have to do this, Evelyn. You need answers. I stepped out. Cold air wrapped around me immediately. Despite the fog, I could feel the sun somewhere above, trying but failing to warm the morning. The gravel path crunched beneath my shoes. I walked slowly, past rows of worn headstones, some leaning as if tired of holding their stories. The silence was heavy, too heavy. As I walked, guilt pulled at me. I had avoided this place for so long, too long. Daniel's section was toward the back, near the old stone wall that bordered the forest. I approached it carefully, each step heavier than the last, and then I saw it. His headstone, gray, simple, familiar, exactly where it had always stood, but something was different, something small, subtle, wrong. There were footprints near his grave, fresh ones, deep ones. Someone had been here. Recently, my breath trembled into the cold air. I stepped closer, kneeling carefully despite the ache in my knees. My fingers brushed the grass, and I froze. Something sharp poked my skin. I moved the grass aside and uncovered it, a broken piece of glass. A lens, a camera lens. My throat tightened. Was someone watching him? Was someone filming his grave? Why? I looked around the cemetery, fog, trees, silence. I felt watched. I placed my hand on the headstone, whispering softly as tears filled my eyes. Oh, Daniel, what happened to you? What am I supposed to do? A sudden gust of wind rustled the leaves behind me. So loud I turned quickly, my heart leaping. Nothing, just fog moving between trees. But then my phone vibrated. A sharp, cold buzz against my leg. I swallowed and pulled it out. Unknown number, a text message. You shouldn't be here. My breath stopped. Then another. They're already watching you. A coldness spread across my entire body. I typed back with shaky fingers. Who is watching me? 3 dots appeared, then looked to your left. I froze. My body refused to move. My lungs refused to pull air, but slowly, terrifyingly slowly, I turned my head left. Through the fog, behind a towering pine tree, there was someone standing there, still, silent, watching. I couldn't see their face, only the outline of a tall figure half hidden by the tree trunk. My pulse hammered in my ears, my eyes watered with fear. Then the figure stepped back and vanished into the mist. I gasped and stumbled away from the grave, nearly tripping over the uneven ground. My heart hurt from how fast it was beating. My phone buzzed again. Leave now. Another message. Before they take something from you too. I grabbed my purse, ready to run, then noticed something lying directly on top of Daniel's grave. A small black object. My hands trembled as I reached for it. It was a recording device, the kind used for interviews or surveillance. There was a strip of white tape across the front, and written in shaky, rushed handwriting, Play when alone. My stomach twisted violently. Suddenly, everything made sense and no sense at all. The calls, the photo, the warnings, the figure watching me. Something was happening around Daniel's grave. Something someone didn't want me to discover. I looked back at the path, fog curling between the headstones. I wasn't safe here. I wasn't safe anywhere. I hurried back to my car, opened the door with shaking hands, locked it, and pressed my forehead against the steering wheel. Tears slipped down my cheeks. Daniel, what have they done to you? I placed the recorder gently on the passenger seat. And even though the label said when alone, I wasn't sure I'd ever feel alone again. But I knew one thing, I had to listen to it, even if it destroyed me, even if it opened a door I could never close again. I didn't drive straight home. I should have. Any sensible woman my age should have. But sense isn't what drives you when the dead begin calling you. Love does, fear does, loneliness does. I parked in front of the old community church instead. A quiet place, safe, empty during weekdays. The kind of place Daniel and I used to sit in when life felt too heavy. I locked my car doors and placed the small recorder gently in my lap. The label stared back at me, play when alone. I took a long breath, my fingers trembling as I pressed the button. For a second, there was silence, then static. The kind of static that feels like it crawls under your skin. I squeezed the steering wheel, trying to brace myself. A voice came through, weak, strained. Familiar, Evie, can you hear me? My heart broke inside me. Daniel, it was Daniel. My breath hitched and tears filled my eyes immediately. Daniel, I whispered into the empty car, even though he couldn't hear me. He continued, voice shaking. Scared, if you're listening. Then they know you're looking. A cold shiver ran down my spine. I tried to warn you, I tried to keep you away. A deep, trembling inhale. But I can't stop them anymore. I pressed my hand over my mouth to keep from sobbing. He sounded alive, too alive, not like a memory, not like a ghost, alive. But how, Daniel, what happened to you? I whispered. As if he heard me, though I knew he couldn't. His voice cracked. They took my voice first, then my name. My hands froze, took his voice. I'm not supposed to reach you. He whispered. They watch me. They listen through me. Static swelled, loud enough to make me wince. Then a second voice appeared beneath the first, not clear, not human, a deep, distorted rumble, almost like breathing. Daniel's voice shook harder. Evie, don't trust the calls, don't trust the messages. They're not me. They're using what's left of me. I felt sick. My body went cold. All the calls, the texts, the warnings, none of them were from Daniel, the photo, the man watching me. I whispered, trembling. The static grew louder, swallowing half of Daniel's next sentence. They took my likeness, using it, to bring you back. The words were broken, but the meaning was clear. Someone was using Daniel's voice, his image, his memories, to pull me toward the grave. But why? For what? The recorder crackled again. Then Daniel's voice returned, quieter, almost fading. Evie, listen carefully. What you buried with me wasn't just a phone. My breath caught. What? In the hospital, after I passed. A long, pained sound left his throat. My doctor put something in the lining of my jacket, something I never agreed to. They used my body to smuggle it out. I felt my stomach twist. That's why they don't want you here. A hollow, mechanical groan came through the recorder, so unnatural it made every hair on my arms stand up. Daniel's voice dropped to a whisper. It's in the ground, Evie, still there, and they don't want you to find it. My hand flew to my mouth, a hidden object, buried with him, something people, dangerous people, wanted. And they were using Daniel's voice to keep me away from it. But then he said something that shattered me completely. Evie, my love, the first call, a trembling breath, that really was me. I froze. My heart squeezed painfully. I found one moment, just one, where I slipped through. My tears fell harder. I needed to hear your voice again. A sob broke from my chest. My whole body shook as I pressed the recorder closer to my heart. I miss you, he whispered. But you need to run now. You need to let me go. Static swallowed his words again. Violent, roaring static that made the recorder vibrate in my hands. Then the second voice returned. Deep, inhuman, wrong. A growl of sound that made my bones ache. Followed by a single word, enough. The recording cut off instantly. The car fell silent. I sat frozen. The recorder still clutched in my shaking hands. My tears slipped down my cheeks silently. The ache in my chest felt unbearable, like grief ripping open wounds I thought had healed decades ago. But beneath the heartbreak, something else rose slowly, resolve. If Daniel's real message broke through even once, then he hadn't abandoned me. He was fighting, somehow, somewhere, in whatever place lies between memory and silence. He was fighting for me, for the truth. I wiped my tears and took a long, shaky breath. All right, I whispered. My voice felt small but steady. If they want me gone so badly, then I'm going back. I started the car, but before I shifted into drive, my phone lit up. A new message from Daniel's number. Just one line, you weren't supposed to hear that. The text bubble pulsed. Another message began forming. I didn't wait. I threw the phone into the backseat, gripped the wheel, and pressed my foot on the gas. Because now I understood. Whoever was pretending to be Daniel, whoever took his voice, whoever was watching the grave, they weren't warning me. They were trying to keep the truth buried, and I was done running. If they wanted a frightened old woman, they picked the wrong widow. If this story touched your heart, please share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and keep that bell on so you never miss another story from me.